So there's definitely a little bit of a difference.
Well, that's not enough. I'll send you some of my 50.
If you could send 10 more degrees, I mean, 40 is good. I mean, I don't know if it's me, or I don't know if it's just the temperature or my physicality is changing or what, but man, I've just been freezing the last couple of. I usually don't get that cold at 30 degrees.
It's not just a cold wind, but it's a penetrating cold, which somehow, you know how 40 degrees in San Francisco can be colder than 30 degrees in Seattle sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It can't be explained, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's just it's probably something to do with the wind's precipitation, or the blue point or the dew point or the.
I remember once I was getting in the subway at 72nd Street and Broadway, and the sign on the bank said 0 degrees. I'm going, 0 degrees. It's not that cold. I mean, I got a parka on, but I'm not that cold. There's been times when 0 degrees can seem warmer than 10 degrees.
Well, I always think that the temperature on the cross streets is always colder than the temperature going up and down, because you don't have any wind to block your river to river, especially if you're on like 72nd or 86th or 96th. Or
well,
one
Sixth Avenue is a warm, balmy bath compared to a cross street of 67th Street.
I think it can not warm and balmy, but I think that because you have the buildings blocking the wind, because the wind doesn't run down 6th Avenue, it runs across 42nd. It's probably going to be, or at least give you an illusion that it's warmer, on the avenues than it is on the streets. Now, I don't know. I could be nuts.
Well, no, you're not nuts. So is Feller Garage on an up and down street, or is that on a cross street?
That's on a winding street, actually.
So swirly winds.
Winds are different in Pittsburgh. I mean, in the city, it's interesting. In the city of Pittsburgh, in the Triangle, I think the winds do, I think you have the same kind of effect as probably any city. You go, river to river, especially down by the point where it's cold, and the city is small. I mean, obviously it gets down to like 2 blocks wide, and it winds out. You have the winds that go along with both rivers.
Like San Francisco, Pittsburgh sticks out into the weather, right? San Francisco sticks out into the bay, and the ocean. Pittsburgh sticks out into the rivers.
I'm trying to think, though, if there are streets that you perceive to be colder. Well, the streets with the wind coming off the bay, I always think seem to be colder.
Yeah, if you're on the marina, you better take your parka, even if it's summertime.
Yeah, but with all of that, it's still cold. By the way, let's introduce ourselves. He's
Who do you want me to be? I could be anybody you want. I could be Vladimir Putin.
No, please don't be Vladimir Putin. You'll try to take over my box. He's Michael Vinnie. He's down in Pasadena, California.
He's New York Vinnie. He's in Seattle, Washington, where they had snow, but there's no snow today.
Well, that's the great thing about here. Usually it disappears in a matter of hours. It's probably why they don't have too many snowplows. They figure Mother Nature will do the work for them. If it's an inch or 2 inches or something like that, it's usually gone the next day. So when they run into these 16-inch, what's the new word they're using this year? Snow squalls.
Arctic plowshares.
Oh, I like that. And Antarctic swords.
Yes.
So north you got the plowshares, south you got the swords, and let's hope they don't meet someplace, because that would be global cooling or climate change on a very serious basis.
Global cooling is brought about by Major League Baseball and golfer Phil Mickelson.
What did Phil do?
Phil made a statement saying that although the PGA was an interesting organization, it wouldn't be better to have a rival, especially if it were sponsored by the Saudis, who are scary motherfuckers, to quote Phil Mickelson, because they cut people up, they're known murderers, and their attitudes on racial problems and human what's the word I'm looking for? They're
Interaction.
human rights. Yeah, their
Human rights, yeah.
everyday view toward human rights is frightening. But think of the marketing possibilities, and also they were going to form a rival to the PGA, and pay the golfers more if they would align themselves with murderers, rapists, and people who cane you in the street for wearing the wrong kind of clothing. But I find it interesting that the Saudi royal family, all the princes wear their bathrobes everywhere. So there's really no way that they can play golf because the swing and
Oh, it's funny how they get
the,
out there and play. I'm sure that they play
the physical demands of the game don't work with the bathrobe that they wear everywhere,
well, maybe have a lighter spandex bathrobe for the
or a stretch robe for golf.
athletic competitions. Listen, the Saudis have been treacherous for many
Yes.
years.
Centuries.
We forget that Osama bin Laden was a Saudi. We forget that many of the troubles that we have encountered in our history as a country have been financed by the Saudis. And, the fact that an ex-president in Trump and the Saudis would get in bed together without any kind of significant feeling of change in their philosophy. Now, when we got into bed with the Russians and we got into bed with the Chinese, it was after detente. It was after a period where these countries said, "Well, we're going to lighten up on the abuses." Back when Nixon was president, we're not going to do this stuff as much anymore.
Ever so slightly, so it would not be noticeable.
Right. Listen, they didn't become angels, but it's always funny to me that we throw out this stuff from a perspective of keeping a quarter of our population virtually in virtual chains.
Well, they're black, Vinny. We can't have them running around with white people.
Well, so I mean, we hark and run up and down about human rights, and I totally agree with it. But our closet isn't clean either.
But we could get it clean at a good price too, if you can get a Negro to clean your closet.
Well,
pay them in hand-me-downs.
Well, I think that's. Look, Michael, the Saudis, everybody is about their own interest.
What about this? And the soccer league allows Saudis to buy entire teams.
Yeah, what's in it for me? Does it make our financial position better? Now, Trump is a whore. He'll line up with anybody who he thinks can help get him out of debt.
That's going to be a lineup.
I mean,
that's going to be like Law and Order.
Well, how bad was he? Was he dry humping Putin?
Still is,
and still is, and now he's got his whole network behind him, dry humping him. Let him. Who cares about the
the entire party has aligned itself with the GOP now means invaders, usurpers, destructors of human rights, murderers, invaders. That's who the GOP is. That's who they've aligned themselves with. That's who they emulate, and that's who they want to be like. While at the same time, Rick Scott, the head of the Senate Republicans, says that his 11-point plan includes destroying the Department of Education, burning books, building a wall, naming it after Donald Trump, and taking all the social aspects of our society and ruining them so that they no longer benefit the individual.
Oh no, that's
your Republican Party. It's like an internal combustion machine that runs on destroying its own citizens.
And there's a certain amount of people who believe that that's what should happen.
That's what needs to be done to make us a great country.
There's a large enough number of people who believe that will happen, should happen, that we're in danger of actually, if we make it to election day this year without getting blown to smithereens, there's a chance that might happen.
There's something
the worst thing that can happen for the Republicans right now is for us to go to war or go to some kind of action over there, because generally the population does not vote out a president during wartime.
What happens, though, when a segment of your population aligns itself with your enemy and becomes your enemy? If you align yourself with your enemy during a time of war, aren't you the enemy?
Well, in old days, they used to take you out and shoot you. The
Now, how did
problem is we don't know. I mean, listen, Michael, we are such a sick society.
yeah.
There are so many. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things going on, but we're, I don't know. I just, I believe, I used to always think that there's hope, and I always think that there's, some way, all these things are going to straighten themselves out because the greater good, the better angels, God, whatever you want to call it, will prevail. Common sense.
Something other than human nature has to prevail.
But common sense is leaving us in it's like it's jumping off the planet. It's like people don't have common sense anymore. And especially people who are in this country, who those Ukrainians would I believe more than likely be up for changing, listen, you want to live under authoritarianism, go live there.
Yeah, we'll switch it.
Ukraine, have Putin come in, and I'll go to Alabama.
I'll take your apartment in Altoona. You can have my place.
I'll take your pig farm. I'll take whatever you got. I'll switch it with you. You want to live under authoritarian government? No problem. I'll pay the fare.
In fact, in an authoritarian government, there are no problems. If you raise your hand saying, I got a problem, they say, well, we're going to take care of not the problem. We're just going to take care of you.
Yeah, well, we'll take care of your problem. Boom, you're dead. You don't have a problem anymore.
There you go. Done. And that was fast. That's a fast resolving of the problem.
You don't need anything. All you need is a gun.
But I got a lawyer who says, no, wait, we don't have lawyers here. We don't do that. You can't have a lawyer. I've got the lawyer.
Yeah. You don't have
Vinnie,
rights. There's no
listed under hope, which is something you just mentioned, is something that I heard 2 or 3 times yesterday when the authorities and the experts were talking about what Russia has planned. And what they say always, this is filed under Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until he gets hit in the mouth.
Yeah.
The Russian plan has no plan B to it. Russian plan is we're coming in here, we're going to go down the street, we're going to claim this, we're going to declare these disputed areas to be separate countries. We're going to go in and protect their freedom. There's never anything on the other side. There's never a response. There's never a thought given to what will happen as a result of that. And then to file that under unintended consequences is step B. Step A is the Russians do what they want. Step B is not written anywhere, not even in pencil, because no one knows what the alternative will be. And what do you think the alternative will be in every war that we've had, from Afghanistan to Africa to Iraq and Iran?
We're gonna die,
but there's a response. There's a guerrilla response.
I truly believe that Putin believes that we're weak enough that we don't have the guile or the gumption to do anything about it. I mean, I think he truly thinks that Biden and the United States is all talk, no action. He's the strong man. He's the virile one. He rides the horse with no shirt on. He's going to take what he wants, and nobody's going to stop him. And now he probably has the Chinese to back him up.
Well, the last time he did that, when he drove into Afghanistan, we didn't stop him. The Afghanis did. And the one thing that a major power like Russia can't fight and never has been able to fight, and we've proven it to be true as well, is a guerrilla war. Block to block, house to house, bush to bush, farm to farm. The Russians cannot fight that war. They cannot take part in that war, and they cannot win that war. But the Ukrainians can. So just get your guerrilla costumes ready, and get your guns and head to the countryside, because you can pick them off one at a time. And every day the death count will be Russian, not Ukrainian. And that war will not be over. It'll be fought in the darkness, in the shadows, one night at a time.
I don't know, Mikey. I don't know if in modern day warfare that is reality.
But there hasn't been a modern day.
In 1940 whatever or 1980 whatever, but we live in a different world these days. And I think the only way the thing that I'm afraid of in this whole thing is that not only does Putin feel emboldened by going into Ukraine, but now he feels emboldened as Hitler did. Once he gets Ukraine, he's not going to stop. He wants
Keep going.
he wants to rebuild the Iron Curtain. He knows
Starting with
Latvia,
Estonia, Lithuania. He wants those
yeah,
three.
yeah, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. Those what once were those countries.
Bulgaria, Romania.
All want to come under his influence.
All the so-called satellite countries of Eastern Europe.
And once he gets there, is he going to be satisfied with that? If there's, the United States has always been, and NATO has always been a force to be reckoned with. If he does this, he's going to do, they're going to do that. Well, we're going to see now listen, one of the things we learned in early social studies is if you want to beat somebody, you divide and conquer. And certainly Putin has gone a long way toward dividing the United States and other like-minded countries.
Well, I still use Afghanistan as the example. He drove in with his full army, tanks, guns, Air Force, and Marines. They took the country, but they could not hold the country. That's because
that was 20 years ago, Michael, 25 years ago.
But this is the same deal. It's the same trucks driving in. It's the same ground war. It's the same plan. The same resistance is the only way to beat them. We haven't had a conventional war since. Yeah, but the reason we haven't had a conventional war since World War II is you can't fight those kind of wars anymore. Guerrilla wars always beat the invading army every single time. There is no alternative to opposing a guerrilla war except retreat. And consequently, that's the Ukraine's upper hand. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a while. It takes balls, and it takes an official resistance. But the United States supported the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. We gave them all the weapons they needed to defeat the Russians, and that's what we have to do with the Ukrainians. Just keep dropping in the weapons, and one at a time, every night, every time a Ruski sticks his head out of the roof of a tank, it gets blown off, and that's how you win.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope that it all doesn't happen. I hope that cooler heads prevail, although I have no confidence in Putin having a cooler head. I think he's a murderer. He's a despot. He's a dictator, and he is out for him and his buddies, and that's it. He's everything that Donald Trump wants to be.
And both those men have the same problem of not being able to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow. They have no plan for the unintended consequences, and that's how they lose.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope a shot doesn't get fired. I hope that we are, I hope we're in the same position. It feels eerily to me like the Cuban Missile Crisis. It feels on that same level of now I was, 7 years old when the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, but I certainly remember the fear that was going on. I remember listening to my father talking to my mother saying that they might have to call him back into the Navy if the crap hits the fan. He's still a reserve, I guess, at that time. And there's certain fears, and it brings it all back. That's
why Mikey and Vinnie have to go to Europe and cover this war.
Well, I'll go to Europe, but I don't know if I want to cover the war, Mikey. Why don't we get a correspondent? There seems to be several of those on one rooftop in somewhere in Kiev. What are they calling it today?
Now they're calling it Kyiv.
Now it's Kyiv. It was Kyiv the other day. 2 weeks before that, it was chicken Kiev.
It was chicken Kiev, and it was delicious the way they did it, but they don't cook it that way anymore.
Well, things keep going the way they're going. They could be cooking it nuclearly.
And you know whose fault that is? Phil Mickelson. He's got these damn Saudi recipes. They can't cook a simple chicken Kiev anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean,
but that's what we know about this country. We've been pronouncing the capital wrong for 200 years. That's how much we know about Ukraine.
Well, we got people here to pronounce our capital wrong.
Washington.
I mean, is it Washington or is it Washington? Is there a silent R in there somewhere?
I believe it's Washington.
I mean, we're making fun of them, and we got people down the block that say, "Oh, you're from Washington."
Well, not only that, but they don't know what the DC stands for.
Unfortunately, one of my pleasures is watching Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, there you go. Perfect proof.
And they always do. He does the Steve Allen, the old Steve Allen man on the street bit.
Perfect.
Go out on the street, put a camera out there, and talk to people. Send your cousin out to talk to people about something that you would think that every single American would know about. And invariably, there are a line of people that have no freaking idea about what DC stands for. The ones I really enjoy are the people they give them an event that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and they tell you all about it.
They saw it. And what's even funnier is that they sign a release to have them to show it.
Will I be on the show tonight? Yeah, you're an idiot. You'll be on tonight.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot? You're the idiot.
You're stupid. You were stupid enough to make the grade. Of course you'll be on. You may be our star. We may bring you out before Jimmy.
I like it when they give them a map and they can't identify any country on the map. They can't pick out a single one.
I don't like it, Michael. It's further proof that this country is on a decline. I mean, do you think if you took 3 students from China and asked them, they could probably tell you the name of every small town in China? They could probably show you where the wall is and where this is and where that is, and probably give you all 50 states in the United States. You get somebody just out of high school here, do you think that same thing would happen? Would you put your life savings on that?
They can't find Rancho Cucamonga on a bet.
And without a GPS. I mean, there's a generation of people now who don't know how to get anywhere without a GPS.
So they really don't know where they're going, but the car tells them where to go, and that's where they go.
So if you wanted to kill 1 million Americans, you don't even have to fire a shot. All you do is hack into the satellite and tell them to drive into the river, and they'll put their cars and.
That's a great scene. Just have them drive over a cliff like lemmings, all following the direction of the GPS.
Well, I mean, that's what we're doing, Michael. That's unfortunately, computers, digital, all of this stuff has made us less able to think for ourselves, to reason, and more able just to follow what it says on a screen.
I remember I was so proud of the fact that one of the side aspects of being a reporter for KFWB here in Los Angeles 2 different times was that I could drive the freeways and go just about anywhere. Just about anywhere. Know where I was going.
Yeah.
Know which freeway to take. Know where the interchange was. Know that. Like we were talking yesterday. I'm the one that drives to our granddaughter and grandson's house, Kailani and Steve's house in Woodland Hills from Pasadena. 3 different freeways to get there. You better know which lane you have to be in to get there. Now, if you want to drive from here to Seattle, it's one highway. You just get on 5 and stay there. You'll be fine. Seattle will come into your sights. You'll be there tonight. But to drive from Pasadena to Woodland Hills, you better know which interchange to take, or you're going to go nowhere near Woodland Hills. You're going someplace, but you're not going where you want to go. 3 different freeways: the 210, the 134, the 101. And you merge with the 101, you merge with the 5, you merge with the 210. All these things happen, and you better be in the right lane, not alone in the right freeway, or you're going someplace else.
Well, that's why you see these people who are riding in the left lane, and all of a sudden their GPS says get out at this exit. They go full lane. They don't even look.
No. Why didn't you look? Well, the GPS told me to change lanes. I have to change lanes. It's not my fault. Blame it on Jimmy Kimmel.
But so that's the direction we're heading in. So I don't know. We need, first as a country, we need to resolve to educate our kids better. We need to resolve to not spend as much time on a computer and more time interacting with people.
Well, You're right about that, Ben. And I give you the Republican Party as an enemy of the people. Rick Scott coming up with the idea to simply destroy the Department of Education, because the way we're using it right now, kids are learning history, kids are learning the relationship between the race, kids are learning the actual history of their country. And the Republicans don't want that. Republicans want a revised history, a very short, clean, white history. There are no Black people in it. There's no Mexicans in it. There are no people of color. And there are no Democrats.
Right. They bought the tickets for the ship that brought them over. They actually lined up and they paid because they heard America was such a great place.
Got the receipt right here.
Free room and board.
And it's been that way, hasn't it? Didn't we feed them? Sure.
So we're supposed to accept that notion of that we did the African American people a favor by putting them in these ships, and
they were happy and they sang.
Yeah, they sang spirituals. I mean, it's insane to think that that's the way they want history presented. They don't want you to say anything. In other words, they want you to be an ignoramus. Because again, Mikey, we always say this: an uneducated public is the Republicans, the politicians' best friend.
Their dream. That's all they dream about.
The people that will just the Trump people, for the most part, not all of them. Some of them are very educated, but for the most part, the Trump people, when you talk to them, when you see them interviewed, when you look at them, when you talk to them, they're not all that educated. They're the exact kind of people that a despot, that a dictator, that an authoritarian government wants to have.
No, the governor of Florida went to Harvard. The senator from Missouri went to Harvard, but they don't want you to go to high school.
Right. We don't want you knowing stuff, because if you know stuff, it's bad for us.
It's so damn inconvenient to have an educated populace. They ask questions, they want to know the answers, and they want something that they can believe in. And if they don't believe your answer, what good is that? What good is an answer if everybody doesn't believe it? I want to give one answer. I want to give it one time. I want everyone to believe it. They're done. And the answer is 23.
I don't know. I haven't done a study on this, but it seems to me that when this country was cooking, the 60s and the 70s, yeah, there was protest. Yeah, there was things going on. But when people got educated, when people were going to college, when people started to know things, when schooling was better, there seemed to be much more of an awareness in this country. There seemed to be much more of, if you know the facts, you can then operate. Knowledge is power. Saber es poder. And it was like the first thing our Spanish teacher taught us in 6th grade Spanish, Miss Sanfilippo. She walked into the classroom. I'll never forget it. She was one of the prettiest women I'd ever seen in my life. And she got up on the blackboard and wrote Saber es poder, underlined it twice. And she said, if you don't learn anything else in this classroom, learn that. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have.
And power is danger to some people. And
to people like the governor of Florida and the senator and the Hawleys and the DeSantises and the Larry Elders of the world, the more you know, the worse it is.
They're far worse off with an educated audience. In fact, the hate talk that is financing and monetizing AM radio right now is all based on ignorance. You must be ignorant to believe AM radio. You must be. A questioning mind will not be entertained by the crap and the hate talk that we find monetizing AM radio. Believe it as it comes through your speaker, and no questions will be answered. Let's go on to part 2. Part 2 is, we'll be right back after a word from Bill's Shades and Drapery.
Right, and hi, I'm Tommy. I'm Tommy Tuberville for Bill's Shades and Drapery, and I have him in my house. He came into my house. He found the exact pattern that I wanted, little swastikas with just, on the drapes.
I love the way you said that.
When comes over and we draw the drapes, we can have our meetings in peace. And they're soundproof. So you
And they are
need to
absolutely,
stand outside and holler, "We have a warrant."
and so easy to clean. Just rub them with a red and white swastika cloth, and they come clean.
So come on down to Bill's Drapes, and we'll set you up with a bunch of them for your house too. Hey, I'm Tommy Tuberville, and I got them in my house. You should have them in your house too.
I have a hot patio that we can't enjoy without our swastika drapery.
Mikey. Well, it's funny too. Today I had to turn off CNN. I was watching CNN for a little while, and I had to turn it off because the only thing that I mean, a ground war is imminent. The ground war has been imminent. They got new news that a ground war is imminent. Well, this freaking ground war has been imminent for 3 weeks now.
Now that I agree with you is frustrating, but that's also good news. Where's the damn ground war? I think that Putin has got what he wants. He doesn't have to actually invade to invade. He doesn't actually have to cross the border to cause conflict. He doesn't have to invade Kiev to cause the people of Ukraine to be afraid and to be fearful. Kiev. Either one of them.
It's 10:44. It's time you have to switch over to Kiev at 10:45.
The Kiev switcher.
The Kiev switcher. Well, you know what that's built too.
What?
Do you know what a Kiev switcher is built?
Spolpakia.
Of course. They're not sitting on their hands with this war thing in Slovakia. They're getting ready in case.
Slovakia has, in fact, declared independent 2 areas that weren't even part of Slovakia that are now part of it, and they're both called Slovakia, which is
no, actually, Slovakia. I don't know if you probably didn't see this. It was just on NBC News a little while ago. I was watching J. Fred Muggs as he explained it to us all.
Is he ape for the camera?
Yes, as he aped for the camera. He says that Slovakia has declared Alabama and Georgia independent.
What about West Virginia?
Don't want to go near it.
They don't want
it? Any state that has a governor that lifts his bulldog's ass up to the camera and asks Bette Midler to come down and kiss it.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. We'll revisit them at another time. But we're
not to kiss the dog just anywhere, like on the doggy lips, but on the actual arse.
No, he wanted Bette Midler to kiss the dog on the sphincter.
The dogs clean their own. Keep that in mind, which is something the governor can't do, or the senator for that matter.
Yeah, which is something. Yeah, well, that's a pleasant thought, but
every damn day, that's how they do it. And we kiss them not long thereafter.
Yeah, see, I'm as much as I love dogs, as much as I love animals, I can't kiss an animal.
Oh, Vinny, you can.
I can't. I cannot kiss. I don't know. I just can't. I can't. Not the lip kiss. I can kiss the fur and the top of the head or something like that, but I can't. I can't do the lip thing. I can't.
Putin has cobras. Putin has pet cobras. He kisses them all the time.
Did he kiss that horse he was riding with no shirt on?
That wasn't his horse, as it turns out. It was a Spolpakian horse.
From the on loan, I take it.
And it was wild. It hadn't been broken yet. That's how strong Putin is. He can just get on a wild Spolpakian horse and ride it without a saddle.
Mikey. Is there anything pleasant in the news? I need something pleasant.
Yeah, I think that Putin is not looking healthy. He had a bit of a limp as he approached the speaker's dais the other day when he was making his angry speech about the 100 years of problems that he's had to face as the head of the Soviet Union and now Russia. And also, he's gotten rather jowly. He's put on some weight and he's not looking healthy. He's not looking like he's sustained his tough guy shirt off image.
And I think maybe that he's
something wrong with him.
Do you think that maybe he has something, and this is kind of he's figured out that he's going to go out in a blaze of glory?
I'm going and I'm taking you with me, he said last time he talked to me.
Well, he's not going to be able to buy a hospital bed by the time it's all over because everybody seems like everybody and their brother is putting sanctions on the Soviet Union.
Oh yeah, that's going to be fun. And if you want that faraway look that you see in Rick Scott's eyes, your children will have it once he abandons the Department of Education. I want that same sort of vacant, faraway look that Senator Rick Scott has. That's what I want my children to look like. Not when they grow up, now in the fourth grade. I want that faraway look.
Yeah. Oh man.
I want them not to be able to find Spolpaki on a map. It's the square country. It looks like Kansas, except it's not Kansas. It's very near the Ukraine, but it's not there.
And
No,
it
not
has
there.
and it has a highway that runs like this, and a highway that runs like this, and they're both.
How can you not find that on a map?
Problem is, they don't have a highway that goes like this.
You can't get from there to there.
You have to. Well, they had they had this guy Robert Mozowski, and he was going to build freeways all over Spolpakia, but they knocked him down.
But he said, first, we're going to build them in Queen-Akia.
He wanted to build one across the capital of Spolpakia, but then that would have required knocking down some of the peasant houses, and they said no.
Peasant housing is so maddening. We wanted to put the whole freeway right here, and who's there? Peasants living in their peasant housing. Then we wanted to put a nice new stadium here. Who's there? Peasants living in their peasant housing. Here in Los Angeles, we wanted to build Dodger Stadium, but there was peasant housing. So we just bulldozed it. Guess what? It's not, that peasant housing is not there anymore.
Well, that's what they do. They call it urban renewal, but it's really bulldozing of peasant housing.
That's what it is. And now, of course, we have a peasant problem. Some of those peasants still want to live on the streets around the peasant housing. And that's annoying. That's really annoying to be a peasant and not accept your lot in life.
Well, isn't that what America's supposed to be about?
Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and stop being a peasant.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's supposed to all be about. But I don't know.
And if you're living in peasant housing, get another house in Reseda.
Yeah,
or Temple City,
Morro Bay.
Okay.
Can I get peasant housing in Morro Bay?
It's very dear there, but there is some.
Okay. How about if I move up the road a little bit?
If you're in Piedras Blancas, no, there's no housing at all. It's better to be a elephant seal.
Some good news.
That can't be right. Check it again.
If the shooting doesn't start, Francis Ford Coppola said that he is remaking, now not remaking as in like all new shooting, but is going to repair and fix The Godfather.
What's broken?
I don't know. It's the best damn movie of all time.
And he's going to fix it? That doesn't sound good.
They're calling it the Coppola Restoration. Let's see, high quality sources of the film, 4,000 hours repairing stains, tears, and other flaws. March 22nd, it will be released. They're trying to get it like the original screening looked, not 20 years old or 50 years old. So I guess they're, what I'd love to see him do is put the whole Godfather, they had that version where they combined 1 and 2 and added film in there, takes in there that.
Yeah, the backstory.
The backstory, so that it was one long, I think it was an 8-hour movie or something.
I love that.
And it had like the scene where Michael catches up to the bodyguard in New York and that allowed Apollonia to get killed.
Right.
And all of that stuff. And
yeah, he had a pizza place in Buffalo, right?
Yeah, I forget if it was in Buffalo, but he had a pizza place somewhere and he caught up with him. And people never forget that kind of thing.
They don't forget, not Apollonia.
No, you didn't know. No, you didn't. I mean, to this day, you don't forget Apollonia. I don't know who she was, where she came from, where she went, but boy, oh boy.
And her father always buttoned up his vest before he said anything.
Yeah, he was funny. That'd be one of the best scenes in the movie where they come in off the trail and they describe her to the father. He goes inside, you hear the chickens going, and it's not just the screaming of the people in the house, but it's the chickens.
The chickens.
The chickens are crying.
The chickens know that something is up.
It's a subtle little thing in the movie, but it's always caught my attention.
A flurry of activity.
It's just a lot of, there's 6 different layers of sound going on there while they're just sitting there, and Michael's saying, bring the father here.
Bring him over.
And
Get
then,
him a drink. Anisetta.
Yeah, anisetta. It's one of the moments you just, forget. Anyway, so that'll be something to look forward to, that we'll be able to see a new print of The Godfather.
I thought you were going to say that Francis Ford Coppola was going to do something about Major League Baseball, bring the sides together and film a
I don't know.
documentary.
I don't know what they spent 8 hours at. Well, no, they went into the room for 1 hour. Then they took a 1 hour lunch break.
Well, you got to eat if you're a millionaire. You got to eat. You got to eat.
How about just ordering in?
How about no food till you settle it?
Well, they've talked about that from time to time with all different types of strikes and labor disagreements. And I think what only happens is people get hungry and cranky. I think they should do it the other way around. I think they should overfeed them until they get so tired that their buttons are popping. And
more pastrami.
Right, whatever you want. Let's just get out of here. I got to take a crap.
Wait, sit down. Here comes more of Karen's baked ziti. Yeah.
If that don't put you right, nothing will.
That'll clean you out. You'll sign anything.
So what is the latest? I guess that was I stopped at some point paying attention to it yesterday when they took the lunch break.
It's not even in the headlines on ESPN. You have to go to the baseball page. To ESPN, it's not a story.
Well, yeah. Well, because they don't want to step on their penises. You see, ESPN, I mean, they're partners with Major League Baseball. So do you think they're going to?
Ooh, you mean there's money in it for them? Well, I didn't realize.
You don't want to get Mr. Rob Manfred No Man upset because he might do a lawyerly thing.
Well, then that would probably require them to play only Yankees and Red Sox games on ESPN and for highlights or for game of the week. Hey, game of the week, a big surprise. Red Sox coming to the Yankees. Yeah. Hey, game of the night, you'd be surprised what it's going to be. Red Sox and Yankees are playing. Or Red Sox and Yankees are not playing. We're going off the air for 4 hours.
It's funny when you go look. I just went to look at the Major League Baseball website, and there's no logos, there's no teams, there's no mention of any kind of current baseball. The headlines are the first box that you see is best Hollywood ending of a baseball movie.
Oh yeah, that's your headline.
Best ensemble cast, and then you have all of these different things here that aren't about current players. They can't write anything about current players.
So they're not even covering their own strike.
So they're covering their strike. They say CBA talks continue, sides to reconvene today, and then they have the next cheater, Al Leiter. The best in Paul O'Neill, Jim Morris's unlikely story, and Jesse Barfield in his front office role.
And don't they have anything like the best 20 dead players or anything like that?
I'm sure if I started to go through the website, I would, and they will certainly sell you, a Major League Baseball jersey. If
I can buy stuff. Yeah.
You're more than happy to get an autograph, buy an autograph. You can't go to spring training and get one, but they'll sure sell you one.
So when the owners take a break for an hour lunch, if there's any food left over, can the minor leaguers have it?
I don't know. That's
Can they,
a
can,
very
can,
good
can
question.
they like have the bread and the soup that they didn't eat?
Will you send it up to us?
Send it to the Salt Lake City Bees so that they don't starve to death in the dugout.
Or the San Jose Bees? Well, I guess they're the San Jose Giants now, but remember when they were the Bees for?
I do, named after the newspaper.
No, that's
Fres-
Sacramento, is it?
Sacramento Bees, Fresno Bees. There was another, was San Jose. I guess they weren't the Bees. They were the.
No, I think San Jose was the Bees for a while. I don't know what the bee was, but I'm pretty sure
Beauregard.
that that they were the San Jose. I'm pretty sure I went to a San Jose Bees game. San Jose Bees, the weirdest baseball team ever. Yeah, they are now.
That should be on the front page of the MLB website.
Yeah, the 86 San Jose Bees were independent. Oh, that was and then they were also in the California League in 62 to 87.
Why are they the weird? Why are they the weirdest?
Those,
why are they the weirdest team?
Well, in 86, they got a whole bunch of, let me see if I remember the story. There was a whole ton of players that didn't make major league rosters, but they were just under it, but they didn't want to go back to the minor leagues. So they brought them all in. And let's see. So 86, if there was 65 and 77 in 86, 87,000 people went.
So less than the Super Bowl.
Let's see. Fernando Arroyo, Darrell Seas, Bobby Clark, Lorenzo Gray, Todd Cruz, Jerry White, Terry Whitfield, Darrell Sconyers, Ken Reitz, Vern Rule, Steve Howe. He was the one guy. Ed Jurek, Mike Norris, and Steve McCaddy.
A lot of names in there.
Were the were part of the roster of the team. Let's see. They had a Japanese, Norio Tanabe drove in 64 runs. Brian Kubala and Hisanori Yokota were pitching, were among the pitchers. And yeah, so it was an interesting team. And I remember going to more than one of their games that year.
That's what I recommend for minor league baseball. You have two pitchers on the mound, and one of them's got the ball, one doesn't. So it's a fake pitch from one and a real pitch from the other, and you have to go up against that.
No, I think
they both have balls.
Both right, both of them throw a ball, and you have to decide which one to hit.
You pick one.
You could, if you want, switch sides of the plate.
But if you swing and miss, is it two strikes? Because there's two balls.
No, you can only get one strike at a time.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're really good, can you swing and bunt one? And what happens if you hit two balls? What happens if you're good enough that you can hit two balls? Well, if you hit two doubles, does that count as a home run?
No, it counts as two doubles. So you got to play. If it's in play, you got to play it.
So what happens the next time you get up? You just immediately go to second base, like they did last year.
But you and I are pitching. We both throw a pitch to Biff Jiggerman. He hits one to left field and one to right field for a double on each one. So he's at second base. If he scores, that's 2 runs.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I think that's a fair. But can you throw him out twice?
You can throw him out once. If you throw him out twice, 2 outs. Out you go.
2 outs.
If both throws beat him to second base, he's out. He's out.
Now you only can have 9 men on the field. So what position do you give up?
The umpire has to catch.
So no catcher.
No catcher. The umpire has to catch. And his heart's got to be in it. You can appeal any game.
Yeah, I just don't believe that an umpire's heart is going to be in it. I don't buy that. I don't think that's.
Well, then there's got to be 10 men on a team. 2 pitchers.
You can have 10 men on a team. And if you do, you have to have a short center fielder. And how's that guy going to feel about
how short does he have to be? How short does he have to be? 5'8", 5'8" or under.
How
Hobie
about
Landed. Bring back Hobie Landreth.
how about this? How about we have a short center fielder? We had a short center fielder as the 10th person, but then you'd have 11 people on the field. That's a good one. How about one of the pitchers has to be a woman?
One has to be right-handed, one has to be left-handed.
Well, it'll certainly help the logistics of everything.
Yeah, because they have to share the mound. The mound has to be a little bit bigger, but that's all.
Or you know what, you could make it really interesting. You could have, and this would open up opportunities for college players. You could have a softball pitcher at 60 feet. Oh no, at 45 feet, and a fastball pitcher, a hardball pitcher, at 60 feet 6 inches.
Oh. Now you're opening up a can of worms.
Well, yeah, but
And one of the worms
those
is
were sitting on my shelf for so long, I thought I had to open them.
and one of the worms is going to get that short center fielder because he can't get away. He's running as fast as he can, but he's got short little legs.
And there's a large worm follow. So
it was a professional worm.
but you've
I've
helped
seen
out
that worm.
baseball immensely with their problem of whatever the problem is.
I saw that worm in Cleveland, and he's fast.
You're getting short people involved. You're getting
Left-handers,
women
right-handers.
involved. I mean, you're really showing a side of Major League Baseball. And if we're going to have a designated hitter in the freaking National League, then why not? Because you've already screwed the game beyond all recognition. It's nothing but a softball game now anyway.
And he shouldn't have any trouble getting a hit. He's a designated hitter. Why can't he just get a hit every time?
Yeah.
Your designated hitter struck out.
Put
What kind
him
of a
on second.
designated? Yeah, let's designate that. Go to second base.
Put him on second. And as I said last year, Michael, the most physically fit former star of your team. So Keith Hernandez would have to be the designated hitter, and he would go out and just walk out to second base and stand there.
So, and for the Pirates, it's Smokey Burgess. Please tell me it's Smokey.
Well, you could Pirates, you guys, you use Barry Bonds, right?
Yeah, but he's too physically fit.
Well, you want somebody that's not going to have a heart attack when they're running around the bases.
Smokey will make it home. He'll make it. Smokey, come on.
Otherwise, Bill Mazeroski's around.
Okay, I'll take Bill Mazeroski.
I'll take
as long as he wears his old original flannel uniform. I want to flapping in the breeze when he rounds third.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. Speaking about baseball, I want to take a minute to talk about a friend of mine that we lost.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday. It was a tough day yesterday for me because I found out that my friend and a guy who helped me immensely when I started doing the Mariner broadcast over at Cairo, and even before when we were doing the show. I mean, he came on the show a bunch of times. Julio Cruz was passed away yesterday. He had pancreatic cancer and died at home with his family. And there's just not many people like this in the world. Now, we clicked because he was born in Brooklyn. And, you know, there's a thing about ex-New York is we naturally talk to each other because we speak the language.
Of course you do.
And Julio spoke the language. He remembered what it was like to be a kid growing up in Brooklyn. Just like I remember and had fond memories of growing up in Queens.
And loving baseball.
And loving baseball. And he snuck into Shea Stadium the same way I snuck into Shea Stadium. We were a year apart in age.
Did anybody ever pay to get into Shea Stadium? Anybody
some
ever?
People did. Yeah, the rich people did. But everybody knew somebody who could either get them in or, you know, or would look the other way when they got it, when they were getting it. So, and this was before the days of video cameras and computer tickets and everything like that. Anyway, when I went over to Cairo from KJR, two people really took an interest in me and wanted to make me a better broadcaster because they realized that this was the major leagues, that this was, you weren't just doing, you were doing baseball for the team. And the two people that really helped me out was Dave Niehaus and Julio Cruz. And not only in sitting with me and explaining things about the game to me, but also in Cruz's case and Dave's case, and taking an interest in me as a person, talking to me about, you get, when you're working for the team or with the team, you get to the ballpark at 2:00 in the afternoon. That's when your day starts. And there's a lot of hanging around time. You're getting lineup cards, you're filling things out, you're getting your scorebook ready, all of these kinds of things. You're doing interviews with people, and you want to get there early because it's the greatest place in the world to go to work. I mean, you go to work where most people are paying $50 to get in. And so there's a lot of hanging around before the game. There's a lot of us, you stand on the field, you talk to people, you sit in the dugout, you talk to people, you sit on the little cart they use to mow the grass and talk to people. You spend a lot of time talking to people. And I spent a lot of time talking to Julio. And he was one of those people that took an interest in me, never talked down to me because he was a player to anybody, not just to me. But I give you my experience. He never talked down to me because he was a player. And, some guys will, well, I played the game, you didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Never had a bad word to say about anybody. Even if he didn't like him, he just wouldn't talk about him. And he didn't want you to talk about him. He was one of those people that if he didn't like him, he just put him out of his mind. And he was funny as hell. He had this childlike thing about him that he was still, after all these years, and they hired him to do the color on the Spanish broadcast when they started doing the Spanish broadcast again. And he was truly funny. And he brought that to the broadcast. And he brought it to life. And it was one of the saddest things of coming back here was that I didn't get to spend any time with him because of COVID. People weren't, spending a lot of time with each other.
But did you get in touch?
But we did get in touch. We got in touch on Facebook. And it was his birthday in December. And I'm just I'm trying to punch up the no, this isn't the Julio Cruz I'm looking for. Anyway, he said something to the effect of in the post. I don't go into the whole thing. I wished him a happy birthday. Told him that, great guy, and hope we get to see each other soon. And he just said, Vinnie, my brother. He always called me, I'm his brother, but I think he called that to a lot of people. He just said, hey, you know what? Take care of yourself, man, and let the love come out in your heart. You always would talk about love coming out in your heart, and don't let all the stuff get to you, man. Just let the love people, care about them, listen to people. That was his mantra. He listened to everybody. He lost his wife, Becky, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that, maybe more. 12 years ago. And I remember after he lost her, he came back to the ball, he was at the ballpark. And what do you say to somebody? And he, you could see it in his eyes, though, that he had really lost a piece of him. He loved his wife immensely. He would always talk about her. And I was lucky enough that on Saturday, I was in contact with his son when I heard that it was getting getting close. And I wanted to go up and see him and say goodbye. And his son said, well, it's, and I understood, some people are okay with that, other people. He said, but what you can do is record a message to him and I'll play it for him. And so I got to do that at least, just to tell him how much I appreciated him and how much I loved him and how much he made a difference, not just to me, but to so many people. He touched so many people around that ballpark and was kind, not just to the other players and stuff, but to the guy who stood at the door and checked the press passes, and to the people in the dining room. He would talk to all of them and spend time with them.
It was his nature to do it that way.
Yeah. And, Mikey, in a time where we see so many horrible people in the world,
in positions of power and
in
influence.
positions of power, positions to make a difference, it just makes you wonder why they take the good people like this. And this is now, I guess we get to this point in our lives and it gets more common and common and common. It's going. And it rattles you a little bit, because you would think that God, the entity, whatever it is, would want to keep more good people in the world. But maybe that's what's going on, Mikey. Maybe they're calling all the good people to another place.
Well, someone was talking about this today, Vinny, and that is it's the nature of the universe where constellations get destroyed, galaxies get destroyed, planets get destroyed, suns blow up. Every person who lives here dies. Everything that is living transforms into something else. And there are no survivors. Nothing gets to live. Nothing gets to stay. Nothing gets permanence. It's all impermanent.
Out of life.
It's all got to go, whatever it is, whether it's a planet, a sun, a galaxy, or a person.
Well, I hope that wherever he goes, I wrote yesterday on his Facebook thing, and I hope he finds that ball game in the sky. I hope he finds a place where he can hang around and talk to people and be reunited with his wife and
get a hit
and to spread his love, because he's a guy that really spread a lot of love around wherever he went. And his smile, he had this infectious kind of, he looked like a kid. He looked like he didn't get old. I mean, you can look at him and say, I bet you, this guy looks like he did when he was 11. We all look a lot older now, but Julio somehow looked like, because he loved life, man. He loved life. He had a good faith in God, and he loved life. And he spread that love around. And I think if somebody can say that when you are called off of this mortal coil here, that you've done your job right. You've affected people in the right way. And Julio Cruz affected so many people in a good way. And he's a guy I'll never forget, and I just it takes a piece out of you, man. Yeah. It really takes a piece out of you.
I think that's a good way to end the show for today. I'll see you on a Freaky Friday, Vinny.
Yeah, Mikey, I'll see you on Friday. Mikey, you know what we're going to have Friday?
We're going to have Karen's baked ziti.
I'd like to have Mary Ann's baked ziti, because my sister makes baked ziti. They'll knock your socks off. But we are going to have on Friday, we're going to have something new.
A Friday song, a Friday sing-along.
Right. But we are going to start not taking phone calls, but allowing people to call a number, and they can leave some thoughts for us.
Cogent messages.
We have a new note. We have a phone number and everything, Mikey.
Should it be called the Mikey and Vinnie Prayer Cloth line?
I would think so. I would think that if you call 206-717-5700, how's that for a radio station phone number?
That's a good one.
717-5700. Anywhere around the Puget Sound.
We'll take the 10th caller, but we'll also take the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th caller.
Well, you know what? We'll be lucky if we get past the first caller.
I'm sorry, our phone number is down. No more calls, please. We have a winner. How many calls did you
we
get?
have a winner.
We got one. We got one call. It was a good
We have a
one.
Mikey and Vinnie prayer cloth, and it's and it's coming to you.
And we're also looking for a short center fielder. 5'8" is where we're cutting it off. So if you're like 5'3" and can really throw, you could be the short center fielder.
So, Mikey, the position is short center field, as in where he stands.
Yeah, like I said, 5'3" would be fine.
Mikey, we'll see you Friday if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise.
Okay, see you. I'll be in Spopaki on Friday.
Maybe I'll be there with you. Who knows?
Special team coverage.
More than ever, we wish you peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
And more than ever, what a wine. See you, Vin.
See you, Mikey.